and today I will be taking you through how I draw the human skull. Hope you're all doing well. Name up and one day. So, as you can see here, I've got an example of a human skull that I drew. I drew that yesterday. And I was experimenting with hatch techniques and stuff like that. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking to try and brainstorm with me, you're in the right place, because I will be taking you through the basic steps that I take. Excuse me. I don't want my tea to go cold. The basic steps that I make to draw something like this. So if you're not familiar with my work, I do quite a few tutorials on how to draw the human body. Today will be specifically about skulls. How you doing, Sam? Looking awesome. The drawing or me? I'm sorry, that's bad humor. So if you're not familiar with my work, I'll just grab a quick example here. I'll probably even do one today. I do tutorials on hands, drawing hands, clothing I did recently. That was yesterday, actually. And the body, the human body in general, and postures and stuff like that. So if you like that kind of stuff, you're in the right place. Today, we are going to be specifically working on the human skull. So my tutorials or my live streams are pretty interactive, right? So all I ask of you is that you get involved, you hit the like button, you share it, and you also comment. Commenting is very important for me, because if you guys interact, then I realize that you're enjoying it. Oh, cheers, Sam. So I'm just finishing off my tea. It's really rude. I shouldn't do that. So anyway, let's get into this. Whoops, I need my backboard. Where's my backboard gone? I've lost my backboard. As you can see, my desk is a little bit old. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. So, and I put it upside down. Excuse me. Well, it's one of those days. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I just put it a bit upside down. Let me just position my camera. We are good to go. How you doing? You're Malu. And thank you very, very much for the roses. So that is to you, Sam. Right, so let's get into this. You have to imagine, right, if we draw the human head from the front, it looks like this, right? If we're drawing any kind of face, chances are if we don't draw this type of framework, we're going to be thinking about this type of framework, right? Where the eyes belong, where the nose belongs, and so on. So I take it everyone kind of knows this. Is that the case? Is everyone up to speed when it comes to that? I'm just going to wait and see if everyone's up to speed on that. Because if you're not, then I'll quickly explain it. Because I like to make sure that we're all on the same level. Right, okay. I am. Good. So Sam is. So I'm just going to take it from Sam if nobody else is going to comment. So if we are going to draw a head from the side, we will take these guidelines across, right? These guidelines are really important because it's just simply a projection of what is here in the front. We can now draw it to the side simply like this, right? So bear in mind that these guidelines are important. Actually, I'm going to grab another pen or two, different colors. No, I'm not doing anime today, mate. Sorry. I'm not doing any anime today. I only stick to the subject, and the subject is the face. But this could help you. I think if you sit this one out, it will help you. Because the principles are the same. So, let's get into this. So here we have the center of the skull. exactly here. But this will help you with your anime, guaranteed, because it does. Obviously, faces have the same sort of proportion. So this line here is here. It's at the front. Now it's to the side. If we were to mirror that, it would be looking in the other direction. This line here, directly in the center here to here, is the jawline, right? So we could take that and create a jawline. We know that the eyes belong roughly here. Everyone's got that. So we know, because of our guidelines, that we draw the eyes roughly here. Obviously, we would draw spherical objects, but that's okay. We all understand what that means. The nose, we're going to have to obviously protrude the nose slightly. The bridge of the nose comes around here. We'll draw it straight down, slightly at an angle, and we've got the basic proportions of a head, right? Does anyone know where the ears belong? I'm just testing you guys. I always tend to draw anime looking heads at the moment. That's quite funny. Does anyone know where the ears belong? I'm just testing quickly. I like to. Oh, thank you very, very much for the follows. And thank you very much, Mazzy. Long time no see, for the shares. Nice to see you again. Next, well, the ears don't belong next to the eyes. I don't see anyone with ears here. Exactly. They belong here. I know what you mean. I'm teasing, right? So you see this line here. That line helps us define where the nose belongs. So the ears belong between the nose and the eye line. Do you see that? The nose and the eye line. Nose and eye line. So this is why it's important to remember these lines. I'm sorry, Milan. I'm sorry. You said between the. I'm joking. I'm so bad. I'll never have any friends. I haven't got any friends, by the way. I haven't got any friends, so never mind. I'm sorry, Milan. I'm teasing you. So as we are designing, we are drawing the skull, right? So we've got to refine the shape a little bit, because the skull, the neck actually goes up in here, and the skull is not fully rounded back here, right? So that's something we just have to understand. And the skull is not fully rounded in that sense, and it slightly juts out around the brow line and so on. So in between the middle of the chin here and the mouth, the nose and the chin, that is roughly in the center. That's where we add the mouth, right? So that would be roughly in the center here. I'm just going to add 2 lines. So we've got a very basic human head from both angles, right? So does anyone know the distance between the 2 eyes? Come on, Milan. Let me hear it from you now. What distance do we have between the eyes? I hope my students are watching this, because they're going to get a test on this in about 2 weeks. What's the distance between? Milan, what's up with you, mate? Oh, Wendy, 1 eye. Exactly. It's 1 eye distance, right? So, but this is like, it's a variable. So bear that in mind if you're drawing the head from the front. 1 eye distance here, here, and here. How you doing, V? So, right. So how does that correspond? So now what we could do, and I think what we might actually do, is when we look at, I should have drawn this a bit bigger. In fact, I'm going to draw another head, right? I'm going to draw another head here. So if you want, please draw along as well, right? So let's just draw a head together. So we're going to follow these basic principles again, right? flat of the skull. Try and keep that in the center, not like me. And then we've got our brow line here. Eye line would roughly be here. Nose would be roughly here. We are talking about roughly, it's not strictly the truth if you're drawing anime. We're talking about roughly thirds, right? So we're talking about thirds to here. So we got 1, 2, and 3. So that's our whole, right? I'm just going to do that anyway, just so people can see if they join a little bit later. So this is basically what we're working with. It's not 100% every time. So roughly to around the nose, where the nose is, we are going to square off the jaw. Like so. Oops. There you go. So now we've got a quick basic head from the front. Sorry, Milan. I'm not going to bully anymore. I promise. I'll say I'm going to make sure you can recover that the ears being here comment. I'm terrible. It must be I had a sugar in my tea, everyone. Sorry. I don't normally drink sugar, so maybe that's why I'm a bit hyperactive today. So, okay, good. So we are here to draw the skull, right? So these are some examples that I've got here. As you can see, the skull, I've explained it here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this information here, or even from the side here. As I said, I drew this one yesterday, and I was experimenting with the ink pens. What we're going to do is we're going to draw our skull from the front and from the side, but we're just going to simply put this information here, right? So that's going to help us to orientate ourselves, because if you look at the skull, obviously we don't see all this detail. We would let's add the eyes, right? So we add our eyes, our eyelids and stuff like that, eyebrows. So these lines tell us where everything belongs, right? One thing you have to bear in mind is the skull here has this, you notice I've drawn this line here because I wanted to flatten the skull there. Do you see that? So this is not 100%, but most people, their skull is slightly flattened at the side. It might bulge out a little bit here, but that line helps us to determine the flat of the skull here. Is everyone up to speed on that? That's a whole evolution. Exactly, Milan. Well, I think that's the best way to do it, no? It's almost like you reverse engineer it, because I'm not assuming, I try not to assume everybody is up to the same speed. So this is why I find it's better when you show them what it is and what it is underneath, so to say. Can't find a term. You know what I mean? You get what I mean? You're just laying it. Get your pen. So anyway, so here when we have our eyes here, right? And they look straight, but with the skull, it's slightly bent actually. It's not actually straight. The skull actually bends that way. Hopefully your head doesn't look like that, because then it's a little bit unhappy in a sense. Usually we have a straight line here, but the skull actually bends a bit like so. The brow, it actually bends. And then obviously we have our opening, and our opening is it's less than an eye width, because remember we've got skin here, and stuff like that. But we have here quite a broader opening, like so. And then we can connect them like so. Because remember, we've got skin under the lid, and the eyes are quite big behind here. So what I tend to do is I tend to draw everything in a box shape, like so, and then I round it off. I round it off afterwards. So now we've just defined where the eyes belong. Is everyone up to speed on that? So let me just see what's going on in the chat. Holy moly. I had art class 4 years. No, that's all right. It was 4 years ago. That's all right. How do you do this with a pen? Not with a pencil, because I don't know. I draw like this all the time. And I actually started drawing with the pencil first. But I find that when I do a live, people can see the pen better. So then that's why it's just my go-to now. And I like to use different colors as well. And I find that if I draw something with pencil, even if I say, well, this line here, it's like, what line, But if I say the red line, I find that people can just go, oh yeah, the red line, as like I've added it here. So the red line is here, then the red line is here. I could say center line, yes, I suppose. But I find that the colors do help a lot. Good. And obviously, this is another thing that I encourage people to understand. Making mistakes is all part of it. So if I make a mistake, like there's nothing perfect here. You can see the working lines and stuff like that. But for me, it's important that people understand that you don't have to get it right every time. Exactly. Yeah, the colors are indicators. I use the colors and I tend to forget, but I try to use the same colors pretty much everywhere. That's the one. So there you go. There's a method in my madness. Good. So everyone's up to speed on that, right? So when it comes to the technical aspects of the bones and stuff like that, you are totally in the wrong place, right? Exactly. You are totally in the wrong place, because I draw the back and the male back and stuff like that, and I'm struggling. I still struggle with the muscles, purely because they're Latin terms, and I just don't need to know. I'm a bit lazy. I just don't need to know, if I'm honest, right? So what I do is I just try to simplify everything I say, because I actually teach kids. And as opposed to saying, I don't know, a sphere, I would probably use the term, the human head is like a baby bell, the block of cheese, those rounded blocks, right? So that's these are the terms I use. I know it sounds a bit juvenile, but I tell you, more people realize what that is than me saying a sphere or anything else, right? So you imagine this is a baby bell, and that's basically the shape of our skulls. You're jealous. Well, you're in the right place. Cheers, Centurion. How you doing? Nice to see you. And Centurion, I think are you based in Africa? I'm not sure. But these are the little things I pick up on sometimes. So here we have the nose, the opening of the nose, roughly to here, right? So as I said, I'm going to draw basic shapes. So now this helps us when we have this sphere here, or our baby bell here. This helps us identify where. Oops, my pen's not working. Hold on a minute. This helps us identify where the jawline belongs, right? So we've got our jawline and we've got our jaw structure here. So let's drag these lines down. And now we see exactly where our jaw would be connected, top, lower, and upper jaw. See these lines? These are guidelines. And then obviously we could add our teeth here. See? So these lines are important. Takes us down to the chin, right? And we're going to separate that we're going to add 2 lines, and they would represent the teeth, right? So now we've got our jawline, our chin, and we've defined the center, or our one eye distance, which is variable now. So what we need to do is, obviously we have our temple, and this would be this area here. So we're going to go in with the skull here, pop a little bit outwards, and then connect here. Same on the other side, go in, pop out, and go back in again. Is that clear to everyone? I know there's a lot of information, but use your guidelines. Use your guidelines. These defining the eyes have helped us define where the jawline is. It would go back here, obviously, because the teeth go backwards, right? But that helps us define where the nose is, where the chin is, like so, and where the jawline is. Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. So that excuse me, that helps. So this shaded area here is now here. See that? That's that shaded area. So that would be officially our temple. You do see it on some people. The skull actually has an indentation here for the brow line. And then we have our forehead roughly here. Is everyone getting that? You're welcome, Centurion. You're welcome. So, obviously we would have a cavity here, right? The eye opening would be, it would have a little bit of depth to it. We can shade that up nicely. Then we look like we've got something that resembles a skull. The nose opening doesn't look like a triangle. However, we can tune that up. It looks something like this, it's almost like an upside down heart, slightly pointed. And we have to also recognize that the bridge of the nose here and the corners of the eyes here are also in the shade. So now we can shade that up and make it look a little bit more like a skull, because we've got these shaded areas here. So this will help you when you start to draw your characters, that you've got these shaded areas where the bridge of the nose is connecting to here, and so on. Oh, that's nice. Alta MS Misny. You're more than welcome. Write that down. What should I write down? What should be written down? I'm missing something. Thank you very, very much for the gifts. V, as always. Agony B and Musubi Media. Yeah, is everyone getting that? If you like what you see, please hit the like button. If you really like what you see, you buy V a house in Florida. That would be great. Has anyone got any questions about the house that you can buy V in Florida? Thank you, Blue Eyes, for the V's dancing. He's like, I keep saying V is a she. So, any questions about that? Any questions about that? Well, you need to ask V. You don't ask me. Ask V. Let's go. Good. Okay. So now, what I want you guys to practice quickly, right? Is in fact, let's go. Now let's go backwards again. Excuse me. So we're going to draw the same head from the side. So anyone remember the distance between the top and the top of the head and the chin? Exactly. This is what we're going to go into again. Does anyone remember? It's written actually on the paper. So if you get this wrong, mate, I swear I'm going home. If you get this wrong, it's actually on the paper. What are the proportions? I'm going to see if I think everyone's gone to sleep. Thirds, exactly. So we have to stick, just like here, we stick to the same principle here. However, you can draw some pretty cool stuff if you change these proportions, right? So what I'm saying is, if you start to, let's just do, I'm just going to draw something really random. So we've got this principle here of the thirds. We can actually draw an alien looking head quite easily with these principles, right? So let's draw an alien looking head. I'm just going to add the eyebrow. I'm going to add the eye openings, nose, mouth juts forward as we've drawn here, here, and then the chin. So now we've got something that looks more like an alien type skull. And then we've got the flat of the head here. I'm going to push these eyes a little bit forward. See, so when I show you these things, you can actually play around with it a lot. You don't have to get stuck with the thirds and this is, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to just take what I say as a pointer, and then after that you start to add your own interpretation. So just like I'm doing here. So now we have quick. So Rulu. Hey man, I tried to learn how to draw. No, you've got this, mate. No. You've got this. Seriously. Everything. If you want to learn to draw, all you have to understand is this, and this is a goal for me. This is just my golden rule, right? You have to know how to do this. That's all you need to know, roughly how to do, because in the end, all I'm using, these are the tools I'm using to draw these heads: circles, ovals, lines. And at the end of the day, it's about practice as well. If you practice it, you start to grab these lines as tools. You know, you got your arced lines as well. I should have added those. That's what you need to do. Here, you might look at this and say, oh, that looks so complicated, but I'm simply adding diagonal lines here. These are simply lines, right? If I draw a tooth, obviously I have to think about, oh, what does a tooth look like? I would just start it basically like this. If you want to draw a tooth, you could start, the basic shape would probably look like this. And now all of a sudden, I've drawn a tooth. And that's why you see, I try to simplify everything that I show you guys. I try to always start it with a block shape, and then I'll round it off. That's what you might need to just understand. And like if I'm showing you how to draw this, chances are, as you can see here, I am only using, oops, I need to cut that off here actually, I forgot to do that, our baby bell, cut that off. All I'm doing is adding, like in fact, let me break it down. So one, right? Remember what I said about having our baby bell? We can cut a quarter or a corner off here. That is a way, and then we have the human skull. This area here. You see that? And you have to understand that this is flat and this is three-dimensional. This is here. This line here is here. And then we add our block here. Then we have our jawline, which is here and here. Sometimes I think people don't understand that when they draw something like that, they see it as something flat, you know, but it's not. You have to be able to understand it looking in different angles. At different angles, excuse me. 2D, let's call that 2D, let's call that 3D, right? What is the difference between this and this? The shading. The shading makes that into a three-dimensional object. This could be flat like a ring, but this is a three-dimensional object. It has a mass, and you can identify that. Good. Well, this is the thing. I think it's important to understand the foundation of the face. See, because then you start to think, oh, but where would the nose be? You know, and you've got your guidelines, you've got your eye positions. For example, here I'm going to add my eye positions here. I know where my brow line is, because when you look at the face and it's really well drawn, I find that the details can sometimes be a bit overwhelming, you know, when you see someone that's drawn it really well and you think, oh, how did he do that? But they have to have a knowledge of the structure underneath to be able to draw a face well. Do you see my point? So, good. So I'm going to keep going with this. I'm adding the jawline. So we've got our top jaw. It connects to the back of the skull here. It's a strange line here. I never really get it. I never really get this line, but it does go backwards and apparently it bends a little bit, but it's maybe a little bit too much from this live stream. So it does actually bend like that. Then we have the lower jaw. And then I'm going to drop that a little bit lower and it connects under here. It looks similar to this. This is not something that I would personally invest too much time in knowing, but it's good to know, especially when you want to add shading to your faces and stuff like that. You know, okay, we have a contour here. The jaw here has the opening, so we would add some shading here because it would dip inwards. We know we can add some shading here and so on. Right, I'm going to pause the action quickly. So now we've drawn this type of head from the side and from the front. So this, just quickly before I forget, this line here, the green here, is the green here. So now we have this green here. This green line here would be this line here. And this green line here would be this green line here. just to see if that helps you orientate yourself. Okay. Let me just, I'm coming to you, Rulu. One moment. Thank you. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you really like what you see, buy me a car and share the live stream. Good, good. Yes, it is about perspective, but you have to understand a little bit more that it's about understanding that this object here is a 3D object. When I draw this, I'm thinking it's 3-dimensional. It's almost like I see it as a ball as opposed to a ring. So if I'm drawing a head, I'm going to break down the information. The flat of the skull is here. Where is the center of the skull? The center of the skull is, or excuse me, the face is here. Center line is running straight through here, which would be here. And then, did I just say that? Hold on. Excuse me, that line should be here. The center of the skull is here, excuse me. That is here. Exactly, excuse me. And then we're talking about thirds, so I'm going 1, 2, and roughly 3. Not 100% every time. You can vary that. You have to vary that. Do not get stuck into that it has to be a third. And then we've got a face looking towards my left. So we're going to do the same. We draw a cross in the middle, running through the center, flat of the skull, jawline. Now I have a skull or a head looking to my right. Draw your center line. Flat of the skull, jawline, roughly a third. And here I've actually made it longer, so it gives it the face a little bit more character. Now we have someone looking up to my right. So if I draw this here, where is this person looking? This is a question to you all that are in the live stream. Where is this person looking? This is my right. With charcoals, I haven't done that for a very long time, but I do like drawing with charcoal, that's for sure. That's actually amazing. Oh, good, thank you. Mr. Justin, how you doing? It helps you a lot. Brilliant. That's the goal. That's my goal. Rulu, I've helped you today. Morning all, morning all. Yes, I have posted 24 videos on my YouTube. So if you are interested, check me out, Artwalker on YouTube. I've posted about 2 this morning. And if I keep this video clean, as in I don't run away and go and answer the phone or whatever, then I can post this one pretty much straight as it is. So keep it clean and then I don't have to filter anything. So check it out on my YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Oh no, you have to try again. You never stop trying. Never, 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 never. I am continuously sketching, continuously. See, I could say that this one, the head was a bit too wide. I could say this one was pretty much spot on. But they are all, and then this one looks more like an alien or an ape shape. You know, then you start to experiment with it. You start to bend the rules slightly, and when you bend the rules, then you start to create different skulls. Thank you for the follows, Ebony and Co. Who else? There's a few. Lorenzo and Natalu. Never stop trying. I'm just going to try and scroll through some of these messages quickly. I don't even know what you mean. Negative cantrell tilt. It's what? Where is that? You have to explain what part of the body that is. I'm not sure where that is anymore. I have no idea. I think someone knows what they're talking about and they're putting me on the spot. I don't even know what that is. Was that maxilla? I don't know. I only know to draw. That's the only thing I know to draw. I don't know the body parts as such. No, I can't teach you that. I did actually say that in the beginning. I did actually say that in the beginning. This is not an anatomy live stream. It's just how to draw something. In the same way that I draw the body, I don't know every muscle group. I'm sorry. To the top right. What's that? I'm not sure what's going on there. Upper right. What? What's this upright stuff? And what am I missing? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is not an anatomy lesson. Guaranteed. Even when I draw the legs a million times and I still don't know every muscle in the leg. I don't know them. I know this is the calf, but I know they have serious Latin names. I 100% do not know them. So if you are looking for that, you're in the wrong place. You need to grab a medical journal and then you will be fine. So, yeah, I would say the female face. I would say the female face is a lot more petite. You wouldn't draw. I don't think you. Well, I don't think you would, but you wouldn't draw a female jawline like this. So these are just like little observations that you need to make. You wouldn't draw a female jawline like that. You would probably draw it a little softer, a little bit softer. That's what I would do. Probably, yes. I will probably be going live twice today. Well, this is what I was explaining before. You have to observe your. If I call this a circle, you have to observe it as a sphere. And wherever you place this center line is the center of the face. So when I say center line, I mean this red line here, but I'm turning it into a green line to really highlight it. So wherever you add that line, that is the center of the face. And then when you add the line through the middle, this is the brow line. That is the flat of the skull. You just have to be aware that that is a three-dimensional object. That might help you. Oh, no. You know what? I was thrown by the other question. And when everyone was saying upright, I'm like, what am I missing? I get it. Sorry, guys. It was because someone was saying something about some words, Maximiliano or whatever they called it. I don't know all that. I guarantee you, I don't know that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Not doing eyes today. We only do skulls. Only the skull. There you go. I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't know these terms. It's like I'm gonna write that here actually. It's like if someone's talking to you about a sport that you don't know. you might watch it, but if you don't know the rules of the sport, you probably just enjoy the sport. This is like me when I draw. I don't like. I drew this yesterday. This skull yesterday. I know this is the orbital purely because of the sport that I watch, and I used to watch boxing a lot. And someone had a broken orbital, but jawline. That I know that bridge of the nose, but I don't. Yeah, you could say the cranium, but I'm not technically astute when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just draw. I I take the information, I put it on paper, and for me, everything else is extra that I don't really need to worry about. Yeah, yeah, I get it now. I was a bit thrown by that question. You're welcome, Rulu. How about Rulu? Too early again. A long time no see, UK Nada, excuse me. Yeah, so I would draw the teeth. Well, for me, the teeth you have to observe a tooth, right? Because I haven't got any teeth hanging around. But if you look at a tooth, it has its root, it bulks out. There's not much to it. You could actually fit a tooth into a rectangle, and then you sculpt the tooth within that shape, because that's pretty much what it is. It depends, because you've got different types of teeth. You've got your molars, but the tooth is also a three-dimensional object. So you have to think, how does it bend? And it has not cracks, but it has crevices within the tooth. This is something you have to pretty much study on your own. I can't. I suppose you would concentrate a little bit on the shading. This tooth is not great, but you can kind of see that it's the tooth. But I would probably grab a reference for something like that, and then that's how I would do it. I don't have everything in my database, but that's what I would do if I was drawing a tooth. Ah, good, good. Glad to hear you watching the YouTube. Brilliant. And what about a row of teeth? Well, for me, that's quite an obvious question, because if you've got a row of teeth, you have to place the teeth like you have your front teeth, and then you have you obviously have to count the amount of teeth that we have, and then you just build the teeth. I really don't know what to say. It's um how would I don't know. I don't know what to say. A row of teeth, you just draw a row of teeth. You just draw a row, but you have to bear in mind the shapes of the teeth. Because if you have your larger teeth are more rectangular, then you have your more, not dagger shape, but your more canine looking teeth. And then behind that, you have another shape tooth. It's, I'm guessing it here, right? But things like that, you have to research yourself. That's how I would draw the teeth. And I'm just guessing, this is my front. This is maybe, we have no, this would be a squarer tooth. Then we would have a more canine looking tooth. That's how I would do the teeth. And sometimes we have the teeth are a little bit bumpy like that, so on. Then we add a little bit of shading. The gums. But this is slightly off subject, if I'm honest. I think this is slightly off subject. because you could actually sit down and draw the teeth in a live stream. Greetings from Sheffield. I hope that helped you, Cornelius. Anyone got any questions about what we've done up until now? I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Then we have some strands. And, you know, referencing is very, very, very important, right? You have to reference things. And obviously, when you do things small, you can get away with hiding things. But when you do them larger, it's a little bit more difficult. And this person's got a chip on the tooth. So there you go. This is how I would guess to draw teeth and the gums. Yeah, well, this is okay. I'm fine. I don't mind. It's funny. I don't really draw teeth, you know, because if you draw something from afar, it's not something that I really draw, but I do have a knowledge of it. And yesterday I was playing around with this one, and it was quite interesting to look at the jaw, how it bends, you know. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, you start to pick up your experience, you know, but how much detail do you need to know? That's down to you. If you need to know all of this detail, this is probably not the most in-depth live stream for you, because I draw things pretty simplistically. Like if I was to draw some character now, I probably have a couple of teeth and then maybe a broken tooth. You know, I wouldn't need to know every tooth that is in his head. Normally in the morning. I usually go live in the morning. So drawing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I didn't really understand your question. If you place your jawline, and then you've got your tooth line, and then literally you just have to, like if I'm drawing a face and it's like you can see some of the teeth, I only highlight the shaded areas, and then you can add the mouth on top of it. That this looks really ugly, I know, but this is basically how I would draw the teeth. I don't add every detail. You want to avoid that because then it just starts to look a bit weird. You know, like here, I've even gone too far with the detail here. But if you want to add teeth, this looks like the Joker somehow. This looks like the Joker's teeth or something. Oh, in fact, I've got actually an image. Let me just grab this quickly. See, like here, we're not overcooking, you know, the teeth, you know. I'm not going, we need tons of detail. It's quite minimalistic here. And what I tend to do is if I don't have to reference something, I won't. Where is he gone? Where's my Joker gone? Right here. I just give a hint of where the teeth are. Do you see what I mean? I don't have to create a journal, dentistry journal. Where is it? I can't find my Joker. That's a shame. That is a shame. Anyway, we won't digress any longer. Let's get back onto it because it was a good example, actually. No, I can't see him. He must be hidden in my... Oh, I know the folder he's in. Yeah. Anyway, Let me see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to. Yeah, I'm in Switzerland. It's hard for me to understand what people mean, and I might be misunderstanding. So if I do sound like I'm not getting it, maybe you can rephrase it. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you very much. This was awesome. Good. Okay. So, anyone got any questions? Anyone got any questions? So, say for example, if we have a head like this, so we've constructed a few basic heads, we could simply change this using the skills that we have into a skull. And because you've got a basic knowledge of where everything belongs, you start to add. This is something you also have to practice, right? You will also have to practice this. But when you practice it, just practice without any kind of fear. And then all of a sudden, you've got a skull here. Maybe not the most accurate. However, for learning purposes, we've now got a skull here looking to my left. And it didn't take 5 hours, right? So that's what you do. You draw a few skulls and you just practice the same basic principles. Like so. And we've got another skull looking upwards. Do you see my point? So this is why learning how the 3D head is formed will help a lot. It will answer a lot of questions. And then you don't have to stress about where does that belong and da 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 da. Hopefully. I'm going to just finish that one off. Now we've got some sort of ghoulish looking skull. We know exactly where the temple is, flat of the head, and so on. So this is also the quickest way to get dimensions of the face. Well, the face is different from the skull. I know it sounds a bit weird, but the face, as I said before, the eyes usually are quite straight, but within the skull they can dip slightly, right? Proportions of the skull are roughly thirds, but you're going to have to play with that. If you're drawing female, male, muscular, skinny, it gets a bit complicated. But with regards to face proportions, use the eyes as I would say the eyes are the best tool to measure the face. Obviously, 3 eye distances between the center line. So we have 1 eye distance, 2, 3, and then you build from there. That's what I would do. I mean, but this is what I think is important. Once you build your confidence in drawing basic shapes, then it's just a matter of manipulating that shape to make it look like something else. Yeah, I always emphasize lines, circles, and I always emphasize 3D because sometimes I feel that I have the feeling that people don't get what they're seeing. They see the front, they see the side, but they don't understand the 3D. This is what I get sometimes. Yeah, I would use the eyes as a start point. So, for example, this, and we're not doing a face drawing tutorial as such, but if you've got a skull like this is what I was explaining before. You've got the, let's call it the dome of the head here, and then you work. Let's go a different color directly through the center here. Oops, that's slightly off. Directly through the center, so we've got our thirds again, right? But this is varying because this jaw is a bit heavier, but it should be a third. This is a general rule, but it's not 100%. Once you define this, the dome of the skull here, then you actually add your placement for your eyes. And then you're starting to work within your eye ratio here, 3 eyes. So that means we've got 3 eyes here. Tuck, tuck, tuck. So this determines the distance between the eyes. Then we add our nose. This is what I did the other day. Then we add our mouth. But this is something a little bit different than drawing the skull. The principles are the same, but obviously with the skull, there are differences. We've got to recognize that there are different things to draw. Yeah, I would use the skull, the dome, if you want to call it that, this area here as my start point. And then for the dimensions, you use the eyes from here. 1 eye width here, 1 eye width here, 1 eye width here. And I think it's like 2 down to the nose here. You just see what I mean? This is where the eyes start to play a factor in it. Slide clipboard items to delete them. I'm not sure what that means. Exactly. It is almost like sculpting, because you are thinking it's like making a human head out of plasticine or some sort of clay. You have to mold it, and then you start to recognize it. And that's why it's important to draw the head or the skull at different angles. That's why it's important to draw the skull with a massive jaw, for example. Let's just add a massive jaw to this skull here. And then you get a totally different look and feel to what you're drawing. And obviously you're just experimenting, which is good. So now we've got, it almost looks like a mechanical jaw. And you just simply reuse all of the principles of drawing a normal jaw. Like so. Good. So we've been going for an hour now. I think we've covered most of what we needed to cover. I have been recording this. Good night, B. I hope you guys and girls learned something from this. I will be posting this video pretty much straight away because I don't think I have to edit much out of this one at all. Thank you all for joining me. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And if you do draw a skull, let me know. I'll be happy to take a look at it. Just mention me. That would be nice. And practice, right? Take your time. Don't set the bar too high. Practice. And then you'll work this one out. Have a good evening or morning or wherever you are. Good night. Who knows where you guys are. Thank you for all of your comments and your kind gifts. Much appreciated. See you again soon. I will be posting this on YouTube very soon. Thank you very much to my moderators. You are soldiers, mate. Much appreciated.